Claudia here from Create with Claudia, and today I'm going to show you how to piece together scraps of fabric without sewing to make a larger piece of fabric for crafts. Like this, I used this pink one I made for this little heart embroidery hoop craft I did on my blog. It's really easy to do. It's again a great way to use up scraps, or if you just have really pretty fabric you want to use up, you can make some really pretty bigger pieces. All right, so let's get started. You need a few things. You need fabric scraps. These are cut all different shapes and sizes. They're from old projects. 1 inch, 2 inches. I wouldn't do it too much bigger than that, especially if you like that patchwork look. So you need your fabric. You need wax paper. You're going to need at least, or you'll need 2 pieces. One to originally work on and protect your work surface, and then a second one to transfer the piece on to dry. You're going to need fabric Mod Podge, and this is perfect for this project. And what you can see when it dries, it's almost like a rubbery texture. It's a messy project, I will tell you that. Have a wipe handy so that you can clean your hands, but your fingers will get messy. You can already see some glue on there from one I did earlier. But you can see the texture is just a little bit rubbery. It's harder, but it's perfect for using for those craft projects. And of course you'll need a brush. So let's get started. Pick your first piece of fabric, lay it down on your wax paper. The nice thing is you do not need to iron these scraps. So literally I grabbed these from my box of scraps in my quilt room and just picked out what I wanted. Try to use sort of the light colors, although be really pretty in rainbow fabrics, whatever you want to use. And just start painting on Mod Podge, a nice generous amount all around the whole piece. Okay, and you want to add another piece wherever you want. You want to make sure you overlap a good amount, a quarter inch to half an inch, because when you peel it, it's hard to peel this off of the wax paper, and you want to let it stay together. And again, you're going to paint over this one. Keep adding. If you have a piece of thread, darker or something, make sure you get that out before it dries, because you will not be able to get it out once it dries. Doing this quickly, I want to smooth out any wrinkles. I'm not going to do a big piece here today, just so you can see how it works. Let's see, add that like so. You want to try and fill any gaps. Again, that makes it easier to peel back, and you don't, for your project, depending on what project you're doing, you don't want to have gaps in the fabric. That might be easier to see. Alright, let me put one more piece on. You get the idea of what you're doing. Okay, so there you have the piece of fabric, Mod Podge piece of fabric, I should say. And you're going to flip it over because you need to add Mod Podge to the back of it. And this can be a little tricky, especially when it's still this wet. So you're just going to carefully peel it up. There you go. The larger it gets, you might want to peel it back every once in a while just to keep it off of, so it doesn't get too stuck to the wax paper. That was pretty easy. And for the back side, you want to add some Mod Podge, not as much, just a nice thin layer, because you want to make sure it doesn't fall apart, again, when you're cutting into it to use it for a project. once it starts drying, it gets really shiny. It actually makes the fabric look a little bit darker than it originally was, so keep that in mind if you want a particular color. Okay, so that looks good. Now you're going to transfer this to a fresh, clean piece of wax paper. Makes it easier to peel off. You don't have all that glue sticking to it. All right, I'm going to carefully, again, let's see, I'll do it from this end, I think. This is really hard because it's already, this is the side that was glued on earlier. It may come apart a little bit, no big deal. Just, you'll just stick it together with your fingers. And there you go. All right, this does take a while to dry, to dry fully. It will get tacky in about 15 minutes or so. It starts getting tacky. If it's a little bumpy, you might want to don't add any more Mod Podge, but just put a little, just brush out those bumps a little bit. You're gonna set that aside to dry. I usually set it aside overnight. Here's one I did about an hour ago, and you can see how it's already gotten really shiny. And it is tacky, but you can touch it. It's just, it is definitely still sticky, but not nearly what it was before. And that'll dry and look really pretty. I showed you these earlier, but these are some for an Easter project, and these are strips of fabric I had in my fabric collection. And I can cut those out any way I want. Here's a pretty yellow one. It really is a great way to use up scraps, and it's a no-sew, which is really good if you don't sew or if you don't feel like sewing. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.